Lizzo has wound up in a bit of hot water. Not surprised by this, to be honest, but there are some pretty damning allegations being made about Lizzo at the moment. Of course, Lizzo, you may know for her classic songs, Good as Hell. You know, I do my hair toss, check my nails, tell me how you feel, feeling good as hell. And you know, she had a song in the Barbie movie. You know, pretty popular, pretty vocal, kind of, I would say, very liberal thinker, which is great. Very passionate about you know, body positivity. She's definitely a larger woman. That's fantastic. But interesting because the headline reads, Lizzo accused of sexual harassment and weight shaming by former dancers. Ooh, interesting. That's actually not the worst part. There's actually a bit more. I'm just trying to find it. And this isn't fun. It is kind of funny. Lizzo began inviting cast members of her dance team, I think, to take turns touching nude performers, catching dildos launched from the performers' vaginas, and eating bananas protruding from the performers' vaginas. Lizzo allegedly pressured a woman to touch the nude breasts of one performer and began goading her when she refused. I think if you're ever in a workplace in which the person in charge is like, hey, eat this banana that's sticking out of this person's vagina, then you're not in a supportive workplace. I mean, this is pretty crazy stuff. And you take all of it with a grain of salt because I think this is such a multifaceted thing. But first of all, it wouldn't surprise me if Lizzo was a bad person. A lot of celebrities are bad people. And kind of reminds me of Ellen. Ellen's whole thing was be kind to one another. And then the biggest catch-all with that was it turned out she wasn't being kind to anyone. And that was her undoing. The fact that her whole brand was everyone just be nice. It's not hard. Just be nice, be kind to one another. Come on, guys, do it the Ellen way. And then it came out that Ellen was a horrible, horrible person. That was Ellen's biggest undoing, right? When your whole brand is that, it's surprising when it's opposite. But I think now you can come to expect that from celebrities. Particularly Lizzo, you know, she's very passionate about the body positivity movement and everything like that, which I think is great. But I also and this could be controversial, but I think sometimes I think it's interesting because, you know, someone like Lizzo might be you know, I think, okay, let me rephrase this. I don't think we should shame people for being overweight and obese. And I've been overweight, I've been underweight, you know, whatever. But I also don't think we should teach people, particularly children, that it is healthy to be obese. Because I don't think, and I'm not an expert, but I don't think there's any scientific evidence that you could argue it's healthier to be obese than not obese. And I don't mean that in a shamey way, but I think we should teach people that healthy living, healthy lifestyles are healthier. Eating well, exercising, drinking water, all of those things are good. That's not to say you should be shamed for being obese, but I don't think you should sometimes I feel you can't be hey, being obese is unhealthy. You can't say that anymore. That's one of the most controversial things you can say, but I think it's a fundamental truth. Could be wrong, whatever. But then, so Lizzo comes down so hard on people like that. She's very vocal. That's great. Doesn't surprise me that behind the scenes, there's a bit of a ego and a strong kind of force of this weird, not evil, but really weird leadership style and really picking on other people and putting them down and making them do things they don't want to do and such. I would totally believe that. I think most celebrities, and I think it also goes into this thought of liberal celebrities, really liberal, left-wing, radical celebrities, of which I would put Lizzo in that category. You see a lot of people, not even just celebrities, just people of that side and and on the like conservative, the ultra conservative side of politics, a lot of their online antics are just shaming, name calling and bullying. Like a lot of Twitter, which is now X, is just bullying people who disagree with you, you know, and we've talked about it a lot, closing off any kind of rational discussion, any kind of middle ground finding. It's just like, you don't agree with me, thus you are wrong and I am right. Everything I think is right. I couldn't possibly be wrong. Therefore, anyone who has a different opinion to me, no matter how tame or radical that opinion may be, they are wrong and I am right. And I need to do everything in my power to make everybody know how wrong they are and punish them and make sure like their family know. And it's like, sometimes it's like you can't think you're right about everything and everyone else is wrong, because everyone has a different opinion than you and everyone is going to think different things about different things. We forget that. Like, now it's almost like you can't be someone who has some progressive views and then some slightly more conservative views. People don't think that can exist. You either have to be all in left or all in right. You have to be all in radical conservative right or all in left. And there's no even attempt of understanding that. And I think when you see these people like who are so intent on calling out everyone, like blaming everyone, name calling, all of that stuff, you're like, I bet you deep down you're not the amazing, perfect person you think you are and that people celebrate you for. I think they are, and then suddenly something like this with Lizzo comes out and they're like, oh shit, didn't really keep my behavior in check there. I genuinely think that. Like, I think she would be the first person to call out someone on the opposite side of the political spectrum to her and call them bad names and try and get them fired and all that stuff. And now it comes back to her. There is a very popular phrase. It is, he who is without sin cast the first stone. I think a lot of people these days love to cast stones, but they don't like it when stones are cast on them. Everyone thinks that they are the ultimate right, as in the ultimate correct. Like, I know in my brain that everything I think is right, and then there's all this social pressure from Twitter to make me continue to think that. I get rewarded so much when I put my opinions out there. And then suddenly you're in a situation like this where people who actually know you IRL, right? Because that's the thing. We all think that satisfaction from likes on Twitter and likes on Instagram and stuff is like, oh, see, I am right. Look at all these people who agree with me. But then people in real life who know you are like, no, you're not this perfect person that you think you are. I think it's very interesting. Will be interesting to see how it develops. But also, I do think there's incentives for people to lie about this stuff or exaggerate this stuff as well. Like, I think that, you know, it does seem to be like, if you are a very successful person, like in Lizzo's defense, a very successful, very popular singer, like there are probably people who are very jealous of you. There are probably people that are very upset with you. You've probably hurt people along the way. Just that's how the game kind of goes. And I think there probably are people who have had bad experiences with Lizzo, but are trying to burn her. I think that could be possible too. I think that's the thing. You never really know the truth. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. Now we're in this society where we think that the truth has to be one way or another. I think the truth is lying there somewhere in the middle. It's a little bit of both. Like, it's a little bit of Lizzo was a little bit annoying, like was a little bit bad, did some weird things, misread situations, but then there's a little bit of like, we don't like Lizzo, she's a bitch, and we want to specifically like target her now. I think there's a bit of both. But I do think it will be interesting to see who comes out of the woodwork here, because I do find if it was someone who is more conservatively leaning or someone who is more kind of like, because I do think that Lizzo has a lot of supporters in her kind of world and in her space, right? It would be very interesting to see if people come out and condemn her for what's being alleged here, because I think those same people would be the first to pounce on someone else if they weren't Lizzo. And that's where I think we have to start like unpacking this online hypocrisy and this left-wing, right-wing hypocrisy. The world isn't black and white, guys. Let's remember that. Interesting for Lizzo though. Think she's been bad as hell. Thank you very much.